I'm Joe Kane.
I'm Dan Kane.
And I'm Wayne Heckler.
And today we're going to talk about, in honor of Batman vs. Superman, our own list of verses.
So I'd like to start today. I came up with Aquaman versus Spiderman. Okay, now I was thinking, it's funny, it's a weird combination, but we know spiders do not like the water. So I'm thinking if Aquaman gets the Spider-Man in water, he's done. He's a done deal.
He can't exactly swing from skyscrapers to the water.
Right?
Well, there you have it. Don't go on the other one's turf.
That's what it comes down to.
Aquaman doesn't do really well in Manhattan.
No, he doesn't. Right, so keep him in that Neptune, King of Neptune.
Yeah, so who would win? I mean, in the water, obviously, Aquaman. But what if he's lured out? How does it play out?
All right, well, let me ask you something. Spider-Man without buildings or without anything to grasp around. Let's say they're in, like, an enclosed room. Well, you know what? I would say Spider-Man because
he could jump around.
He can jump around.
Right.
But what if they're in an open field?
Right. Then Aquaman's a finished guy. But if you keep him in his turf, because Aquaman, it's funny, he's not really Aquaman unless he's in the water. He's kind of limited with his powers. So keep him in the water, and
he is very strong. He's much stronger, I believe. In the comic book lore, he's much stronger than Spider-Man would be. However, it's that whole like David and Goliath syndrome to me. You get a guy who can move really fast, might be able to take down somebody who's stronger than him.
Right.
Yeah, I'd have to go with Spider-Man unless there's water around.
Unless there's water.
Unless there's a killer shark swimming nearby who can fly out of the water.
Well, you're right. But in my scenario, he's in the water.
He's in the water. Well, then
it's no contest.
It's no contest.
No contest.
Spider-Man will just squirm.
I got another very interesting one. Plastic Man versus the Human Torch. Because I know plastic melts. I think that's a Human Torch. Yeah, just that it's a no-brainer.
Let's look at Reed Richards, who is what is his? He's Fantastic Four, Bendy Man. What is his?
Elastic Man.
No, he's not Elastic. Elastic Man was a different character.
He's Mr. Fantastic.
Mr. Fantastic, right? Yeah. And his abilities were to stretch just the same way that Plastic Man would. Now, is Plastic Man genuinely made of plastic, or he's Plastic Man because he can bend and contort?
That's a good question.
Anyway, you know what? How could anybody actually stop stop the Human Torch?
Can't really do it.
The Human Torch is flammable. I mean, you can't grab him.
Maybe that should have been one. Mr. Freeze versus the Human Torch. Aquaman versus the Human Torch.
Just boil him out of the water.
That's actually a good contest, right? And then we have another one. At first I thought would be a very interesting contest, Flash versus Batman. Then I thought Flash versus anyone. And I said, you know what? It's not a good contest because you can't see it. It's a done deal. When Flash fights, you don't really get to witness the fighting. It's so fast.
But could Batman come up with some kind of technology that would allow him to be able to see or know where he is when he's running? I mean,
that is the question. Would he would have to be. That would have to be predetermined. Yeah. He would have to know Flash is coming to do that. But on the spot, I think Flash is so fast that it wouldn't even be an interesting fight because you don't get to really see what's going on.
Yeah, but you know what? That's part of what Batman is. I mean, I'm in the Batman ring because Batman sits down and he figures out how to how to defeat his opponent. Yeah. It's not going out there and going, okay, in the ring, go. It's Batman plans.
It's technology driven. It's which leads me to I'm gonna steal the spotlight for a minute to one of my verses, the Battle of Technology, Batman versus Iron Man.
Okay,
that's interesting.
Who wins that battle?
See, I think that's a closer encounter of where they should be. Batman and not to knock you. Going, okay, we're going to drag Spider-Man into the water and see what happens.
Those are my contests.
No, but who is going to out?
I'm guessing he had a scuba tank on too, which would kind of weigh him down.
Yeah. Batman versus Iron Man. Who can outthink? They're both geniuses. They're both billionaires. So it's going to come down to technology. who is going to outdo the other one.
Well, look at the new movie. As we started out in the beginning here talking about Superman versus Batman. Batman had to come up with technology that would, help him be strong enough, or at least an adversary enough of Superman to combat him.
Right.
Now he would, to me again, he would investigate how the other opponent would work before he would ever step into a place that would put him in danger.
To see what their
weaknesses
weaknesses
are. Almost
are.
that Batman would outlast him because he would not that he is smarter, but he would outthink, in a sense of strategy, the cocky Iron Man, who would more likely rush into it. Batman would.
I'm almost always going to back Batman. That's just my own personal view.
Yeah.
All right, I got one for you guys, which is on a real, on a real even kilter. Hawkeye versus Green Arrow.
Huh.
That's a real even kilter. You're talking about two mortal human beings. There's no superpowers. They're adversaries as far as adversaries. They're on equal platforms because they're both archers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Any view?
No,
No,
and it never
no.
crossed my mind for some reason. But I don't know if you could pick a winner.
Well,
that's like who's on that day.
Who's on that day?
You know?
Yeah. Maybe that's one we could call a tie.
Yeah.
And we go, you know what? All right, that would be a head-to-head match that wouldn't really go anywhere.
Right.
Again, depending on who had the bigger lunch that weighed them down.
Right.
Which might be Iron Man and Batman as well. Might be a tie because they, the way they use technology is very similar.
They're both
That's a
brilliant.
tough one.
They're both brilliant. But I do happen to think that Batman would spend more time strategizing.
He's not the one to rush into a fight, although Tony Stark, as far as I'm concerned, would rush into a fight.
He's full of himself.
He's full of himself, and he's technology driven.
Now he might be even more technological. I mean, he's even has more money. Tony Stark. He's more in the technology field. It's his job. It's his entire life. Whereas Batman uses it just because he's Batman. But could also
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. But it could also be a plus because it is just centered around him being Batman.
Sure.
So I think I might have to go with Batman on that one.
Did we just backpedal and go back to the one before?
Yes, we did.
I'm sorry. Don't be sorry.
No, well, because the other two, I don't know who would win. That's who's better.
I think that's just an even. I think they're in two different universes. They are essentially the same character. One is a Marvel guy, one is a DC guy, and they literally fit the same bill.
Yeah.
So by all means, they are the quintessential, counterparts. Thank you.
Right.
Yes.
So again, it gets down to who's on that day and who's not.
Hey, I'll throw this one out for you. Just figured as far as aliens go, we got Superman versus Martian Manhunter. Figure they're both from out of this world. They both have a different type of feel of how they view the Earth. So what do you guys think of that?
Sure.
I think I'm gonna go with Superman.
See, I'm gonna battle you on that.
Yeah.
Martian Manhunter. It was actually said in the comics that Martian Manhunter, Superman actually said this, that he is the only one that is more powerful than me. This was
Superman
said in the
said
comics.
this?
Superman himself.
Wow.
Well, yeah, Superman himself. But,
Yeah.
Joe
actual
Joe
Superman.
Siegel, who created Superman,
The actual
or whoever was writing that
Okay.
episode at that
he
point.
said it.
No, it was Christopher Reeve in particular. Okay.
Okay.
Which to me is still the quintessential Superman, is
Absolutely.
Christopher Reeve. I mean, we look at these movies that are out. Henry Cavill is doing an excellent job. He's got a take on it that is much darker and much more sinister, I think, than we've ever seen in any of the Supermans. And you know what? That's not necessarily his doing. That's part of the writers and directors and how they came up with the tone of the movies. But we're looking at a completely different Superman than we've ever seen before. Right. So you know what? Maybe in this universe, this cinematic universe of Batman versus Superman, that maybe Manhunter, Martian Manhunter, would be able to be defeated by Superman. it's that rage factor, like
Right.
you have, if someone's not held back by their limitations by going, okay, I'm trying not to squash human beings, which we've seen in both of these movies now,
Right.
that they blow up the city like it's going out of style,
Yeah.
and apparently have no fear of that. Maybe that Superman would be able to beat Martian Manhunter.
Right.
But I think the traditionalistic Superman who won't kill, who won't
truth, justice, and
the
the
truth,
American
justice,
way.
in the America, the 1950s Superman, or even 70s, we'll say the Christopher Reeve era, as far as cinematically,
Right.
it might be something that we would see a difference on. That Manhunter would become more of a shining victor in that scenario. With that being said, what we didn't discuss, we just hopped right in and we were flying through this. We're saying what movies basically would we love to see in the future,
Right.
in these verses,
Yeah.
in this versus category. Obviously smashing down the walls of Marvel or DC.
Yeah, so, and some of them are what movies I'd like, and other ones are just interesting thoughts, basically. Some of the ones that
Arrow
I
and
have, at
Hawkeye
least.
are interesting because, like we said,
Yeah.
complete even
cross.
kilter.
Yeah.
Well, let's cross DC and Marvel again. Rage factor, Superman versus Hulk.
Okay. Since we're talking about Superman. Anybody? Superman. You're talking about the two most powerful men, hypothetically, in each of their given
Respective
worlds.
worlds. Yeah.
Well, I look at it as that the Hulk eventually turns back into David Banner. So even if the Hulk just wanted to wait, I mean, even if Superman wanted to wait him out, he could beat him. Hey, just calm down. He could sing songs to
Superman's
him.
watching, looking at his watch.
Superman's like, relax, play some music, calm down this angry Hulk, and then he takes him out.
Right.
Zips his head off with
I think
laser vision.
strength
Right.
versus strength, it might be good, but I don't know if he's going to turn back into David Banner while he's in the middle of the fight. But the problem with that is that he's also completely animalistic, where Superman can think in the middle of his fighting. So they're both strong, but
Well, that gets back to what
know.
Wayne said. I mean, he would just have to outthink him.
yeah,
Obviously, head to head in a complete rage match. I don't know.
yeah.
There was a great video on YouTube. Somebody who out there had made a video of Hulk versus Superman, and it was like this epic battle. And they continued to make subsequent videos. There's a whole bunch of them now. It's like a series of videos on there of them just going at it and beating the crap out of each other, for lack of better words.
See, I might give Hulk a better shot if he could think like David Banner while he was angry.
Okay,
good point.
Let me throw this one out there. In later Hulk series, David Banner was completely in control.
Well, then that's a better shot for Hulk against
Okay.
Superman, because Superman can think.
By the time like Planet Hulk and those comic books came out, he was completely intellectual. However, he was still the raging monster, and David Banner had basically gone away as far as an entity. He didn't change back into David Banner.
Oh.
So, again, it gets down to terms of like when and where.
When and where. Yeah.
Talking about our Aquaman versus Spiderman.
And he'd be able to outthink even probably Clark Kent.
Sure.
Bruce Banner.
Bruce Banner, to me, had the intellect of like either Tony Stark or Bruce Wayne.
Well, true scientist, right?
A true
Yes.
scientist.
Yes.
Someone who could really think out a situation,
Right.
however, it lost complete control. And, think about the idea of that. Just the concept of losing complete control. If you were out there and you were trying to do a task, and let's say you stubbed your toe, and I'm looking for, completely...
Yeah.
whatever, and you went absolutely berserk over this and couldn't control it. That's what that is. That's a deep-seated emotion that we're talking about the Hulk has.
Yeah. Well, if I was the Hulk, I'd be Hulk 12 times a day. Because every time I turn around, I'm pissed off about something.
Yeah.
Be on the highway, rush hour, and there I am ripping the roof of the car off.
Excuse me.
Landing on all the other cars, definitely. Which brings me to a really good one. This one I would just want to see. I don't really care who the winner is here, but Wonder Woman versus She-Hulk. So I think we put a mud thing in between, make it a wrestling match
Well,
instead.
that was just like the
and,
female version of what I just said.
Well, I think this is a lot more exciting in many different ways. But
You're
Wonder
talking
Woman,
about a full-on-
She-Hulk. What do you have to say about that, gentlemen? What do you got for
I'm
me?
gonna go with Wonder Woman. That's my vote.
Why?
Just because she's not green.
It's not easy being green. We all know that.
I'm going to go with Wonder Woman.
All right.
Why? I gave my answer. You can't use the same one.
Her lasso of truth.
Yeah, I don't know, she's more prominent of a character, so I like to think that she's I
think that's a good matchup.
All right.
However, you want to get into I'm like apparently the comic book
Connoisseur
at the table here now. So you want to get into the folklore and the storyline. She-Hulk was not as strong as the Hulk. Didn't have all the same powers. Wonder Woman is an adversary for Superman. Has a lot of the same strengths, if not certain strengths and certain things more than him. Talking about strengths and things, anybody touch upon the Green Lantern? Because this was one that was really something that got me, and I started thinking about this. I would love to see the Green Lantern versus the Sentry. Okay, so Green Lantern, and I'll explain this for anybody who's not there. Green Lantern's a mortal human being. He's a normal human being that receives a ring now, and he creates anything at his will. Now, as long as he's on target and his will is strong, he can pretty much do anything. I think he would be a good adversary for Superman. Now, saying that, the Sentry has all of Superman's powers, but none of his weaknesses. Although, he's completely crazy. I totally popped the mic there, sorry. He's completely crazy. He's schizophrenic. If you look back in the comics, and I can see both of you have no idea who the Sentry is, which is okay.
We've talked to you about it before.
I've talked to both of you about it.
I have no clue.
So the Sentry is a guy who basically his arch nemesis. He didn't know who he was. He was a shadow, and he spent his entire days looking for to beat the Shadow, and every time he showed up anywhere to fight him or whatever, and he had again all of Superman's powers but none of his weaknesses. Every time he showed up to this place, the Shadow had already destroyed the place, or it was completely out of his hands. He never actually got to fight this guy on. And what happened was he found out that he was the Shadow.
Oh, very nice. Yeah.
So he was schizophrenic, and he was in two places virtually at the same time and not remembering it.
Now, could that be seen as a weakness? Did it ever get in the way of his powers? Did anyone take advantage of that?
He ended up taking himself out by making himself forget. He went to somebody and made him forget who he was. But think about Superman. How do you beat Superman? What's the one thing that you beat him with?
Kryptonite. Sure.
Kryptonite. Take that away. How do you beat him?
You don't. It's
There's
impossible.
the Sentry.
So he's the win of everything. That
I'm
would
gonna
come
say
down to.
I'm gonna say he won everything.
He would top
versed
it
the
all
Hulk.
off.
He versed everybody.
All right,
and
he
took it
wins.
all.
He's got my vote.
Wow.
That's one that I would love to see them make a movie about.
Yeah.
I think it's got a really in-depth story. It's you have the love story there between him and his wife, because he met his wife after he was the Sentry. So he fell in love. He had the white picket fence, the normal life, and there was a shrink who basically made him forget that he was the Sentry. And then he is having horrible dreams, and this is how he comes back to having the Sentry and having the split personality.
Now, how could he forget? He wakes up in the morning, alarm goes off, he shuts the alarm off, doesn't he smash the alarm into a million pieces?
I'm going to just go and say there was a certain amount of control that he was inbred with. Oh, honey, I ripped off the door handle again.
Sorry.
What'd you do?
What'd you do?
It wasn't me.
All right, and I don't want to keep harping on Superman.
But you will anyway.
And he's not even, my favorite guy, but this is the intriguing one that I couldn't help but mention.
Oh, no.
Superman versus Magneto.
Because he's the Man of Steel?
He's the Man of Steel, and Magneto can completely manipulate metal.
That is a good point.
So how does Superman deal with that?
But is he actually made of metal, or it's just called the Man of Steel.
Right. So he's from another planet, but is he made of steel?
He's still got laser vision. I back Superman.
And is kryptonite a metal? Might be a exotic metal, right?
Well,
a foreign metal. Right, it's a rock, but I think it might be
rock.
classified as a metal. It might be. He might be able to manipulate that and pull in kryptonite from somewhere. I'm not sure. It's a good question. I don't know if it's on the periodic table.
If he can get I don't know if kryptonite's a metal, but if he can get a hold of it, I think Superman's done.
Right, then it's a no-brainer. But that would be the question.
I don't know if we've answered any of these. That there's a definitive winner on each.
Well, you can't. I mean, how do you?
I think it's more posing the question like, what would we love to actually see?
Yeah, what would we like
throw
to see?
down?
But is he made of actual steel, or is
Is
that
he
just
made
his
of
name?
actual?
I think
Well,
that's
steel.
Just, yeah.
Steel he was one of the Superman characters. He wasn't made of steel, but he created a suit like basically like a la Tony Stark, and that he had Superman's powers basically.
Okay.
In a can form.
A can form. Powers in a can.
All right, so Magneto is an interesting choice. Now I'm gonna say Superman, barring the fact that I think he's actually flesh and blood as opposed to Man of Steel.
Okay.
Steel's not magnetic, is it? Aluminum.
He's
the man of aluminum.
He's Magneto.
He's Magneto.
He can mess with all of it.
All right, I got a couple of good ones here that I've been sitting on. Deadpool versus Rocket.
Deadpool versus Rocket.
Refresh my memory.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh. That's a bizarre one.
That is bizarre, isn't it? I went for the obscure there.
Yeah.
Deadpool versus Rocket. And think of this. You know, if Deadpool could get his hands on the rodent, we'd be good.
Yeah.
And if he heard me call him a rodent, he'd be after me. But if he could get his hands on him, it would be over for Rocket. But Rocket has, well, guns and everything else. He's a technological fighter who fights through weaponry. Now, Deadpool can't be killed. He's got a healing factor.
Yeah, be hard to beat.
Yeah,
no
but
matter what.
he can't be killed, but he can be beaten.
He could be beaten and dismembered.
Yeah.
But then
So
it'll
we're
come
talking
back
about
together.
the fight.
There's a great comic, and the picture on one of the comics was Deadpool holding his own head.
Could it go back together, or that's
Yes,
that?
no, that was
He'll
it. Yeah,
eventually
he
turn.
eventually grew back. I don't know, held it in place long enough to heal. In the Deadpool movie, you didn't see it.
I didn't see it.
You saw it,
Not
right?
yet. No,
oh
I
my
did
God,
not.
I'm the
I
only
saw
one who
Batman
saw it.
versus Superman, but
He actually cut off his own hand,
oh wow,
and then he had a little baby hand. It was great.
is that why he called him a
And it
rat?
grew- it
A
grew
rat
back.
because he took bite.
No, not Rocket. Deadpool.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go for another one, and I went outside the comic book universe just a little bit.
Okay.
I think James Bond versus the Joker.
Now that's a stretch. James Bond. Is it shaken and not stirred, or
Well, he'd be in bed with Harley Quinn.
that's number one? That's number one.
No, James Bond versus the Joker. I'm gonna have to back the Joker on this one
I think I'm with Dan on
because
this
he
one.
just doesn't.
Yeah.
He just doesn't care.
He doesn't care.
He just does not care.
But James Bond has all the skills to be able to just take somebody out.
So does Batman.
So does Batman. But Batman won't kill. I think that's the big problem why Joker is still around. He's like, no, I'm just going to put you in this place in Arkham, and just like
Until you
stay
escape,
there.
yeah.
That you
And then
can
I'll
figure
catch you
out-
next
catch you
time.
again.
You
and
figure out
again.
how to get out of.
I'll see you next time.
Keeps the system going.
I'm
Keeps
still
going.
gonna have to. I gotta go with Joker.
Because he's crazy enough. He just don't care,
It
like
doesn't
you
matter.
said.
Most
He'll-
of these villains are driven by something.
They put their life on the line. It just doesn't matter.
Mr. Freeze is in love with his wife. They want money. They want this, that. It just doesn't matter.
Are you guys watching Gotham?
Yes.
Did you see the recent one with Mr. Freeze?
Yes.
They actually killed off Nora Freeze. They actually killed her off.
Yeah.
And I went, wow, that was like the whole drive why Mr. Freeze kept going. So I'm very curious to see where they go with that, how they keep him going. I mean, they stuck him in Arkham, and Hugo Strange obviously has his fingers in that. So that would be a good thing to see. So spoiler alert, by the way, if anybody watched this, I talked about Deadpool's hand and you know.
Yeah.
Sorry
I guess that's inevitable.
Sorry for all those people not caught up
I don't
in
think anybody
Netflix.
cares about Deadpool's hand, but the other one. All right, I'm going to go so inside the box to the dead middle of superhero world.
It's not Superman again, is it?
No. It's Spider-Man versus Captain America. And this is because they're both seen as such the hero, not the dark Batman
the
or
Boy
the
Scouts.
Punisher. These are the Boy Scouts head to head. Who's going to win, Cap versus Spider?
Do you know what? They've done cartoons where they've battled out. There has definitely been cartoons, and don't quote me on this. I think a lot of Civil War, something's going to come down where they're actually going to battle in Civil War, which I'm totally looking forward to. I don't know if you guys are.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, I saw absolutely. I saw the coming attraction with Cap and the Winter Soldier beating the crap out of Iron Man.
Yeah.
It's.
Well, did you see the scene
I'm
with
excited for that one.
with Spider-Man?
No.
Oh my God, you guys really seriously?
This was in the coming attraction.
This isn't a new one. Yeah, I'm gonna have to show it to you
All right,
guys
yeah.
after this.
The trailer for Suicide Squad is just insane. That looks
Yeah.
really good also.
Yeah, that's
so I'm
another
looking
one.
forward
I don't know
to
if I've
that.
seen the most recent one. I definitely saw the
I don't
first
think
one.
I saw the most recent, but yeah, I saw
Okay.
the first one. It
That's
looks
one that
good.
has the Queen song with it. Did you see that one?
Oh no.
okay,
You know
with
what? I
the
saw it
Bohemian
on, but I
Rhapsody.
didn't get a chance to watch the whole thing.
Very interesting. It looks very crazy, exciting. The one who plays Harley Quinn looks fantastic, right?
Yeah.
What's her name?
Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
From Wolf of Wall Street.
Looks wild. It's going to be fun. Yeah.
They what was I saying? Oh, you got me thinking now. This wasn't one of mine, but with the guns and the weapons, you got me thinking about Rocket versus the Punisher.
Oh, Rocket, definitely.
Yeah.
I feel like the Punisher is such he's just well, he was a cop, I guess, beforehand, and he's just like a cop gone wrong. I don't know how he fits into the whole.
He's just pissed off.
He's just pissed off.
His family got
Like
killed.
mostly everyone else.
Yeah, families got killed, but he's highly trained and he's a maniac.
Yeah,
It sounds fun.
but he's a good guy.
But he's a good guy. Shouldn't be, but he's a good
All right,
guy.
you want to talk about the cinematic universe of Punisher? The Thomas Jane version or the more recent bloody nasty version? Or I'm looking forward to Daredevil, where he's the villain now.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be I guess the anti-hero on Daredevil, which is coming back out on Netflix soon.
I have to catch up on that. I haven't seen that at all.
Yeah.
Now, this is off topic, but what would you say is your favorite sidekick? Would you pick?
Favorite sidekick? Well, one pops into my head, but it ain't him.
Robin?
Robin.
Not many really have a sidekick.
I'm
right?
gonna say probably the most kick butt sidekick that's out there is okay.
I'm going to tell you who my favorite sidekick is. Harley Quinn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think we'll all
Because
agree
we're
on that
thinking
one.
superheroes,
Right.
but that's
He's a sidekick.
That's
that's
true.
Joker's sidekick.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a very good one. All right. Well, talking of sidekicks, here's one. Here's my last one on my list. I don't know if you guys have.
I
any
have
more.
one more. I think you did yours.
Do you got all three of your list?
I got one more.
The one more on my list that I had. Speaking of sidekicks, and if you want to say who's the greatest sidekick, Nightwing.
Okay.
Now he has graduated from sidekick from Robin to
sidekick to his own hero.
to his own hero
Sure.
as Nightwing.
Yeah.
Now my pairs right into this. My favorite sidekick, Nightwing, versus Captain America. You're both like, whoa. I tried to go for like real matchups of like
Right.
somebody that would, when they're fighting, it would be an actual,
Yeah.
Not a drowning.
Yeah. At least mine are more clear cut. These are really making us work here.
Well, you know what would have been
Who would
good
win,
was
Superman or
No, you know
Ant-Man?
what would have been okay? Would have been Aquaman versus Flash, because he could have ran fast enough to
Make
create
a whirlpool.
his own whirlpool in the water.
That's true.
That's a good
Suck
matchup,
up
You
the
know?
whole water.
Flash
yeah,
versus
right.
Aquaman.
All right, get back to mine. Nightwing versus Captain America. What do you think?
I'm gonna have to go with Captain.
You're going with
I'm
Captain.
going with Captain because he's his own superhero. And now Nightwing is, but he's... what do you have? Batman's going to fight Captain America. It has to be good, so Nightwing can't take him down.
Let's get to this. Nightwing is a particular period. Dick Grayson.
Right.
Okay, Dick Grayson was a traveling Grayson, an acrobat, became Robin. Graduated from Robin school. Now we could do a whole episode on Robin.
On just all the Robins.
Because there's 5 or 6 of them, depending on which universe you're looking at. So Dick Grayson has become Nightwing. Eventually, Dick Grayson becomes Batman. Bruce Wayne dies, and eventually Dick Grayson takes over the mantle as Batman. So, to me, he's just as good as Batman is.
Nobody's as good as Batman is. You got a Batman crowd here. You got a Batman crowd here.
Yeah, definitely got a Batman crowd.
Well, with that signal, are you trying to wrap it up with us here, Joe?
Well, that was that's his bat signal.
That was my bat signal.
He's got to run. And I got my last
Go for it.
matchup just on a, is Wolverine versus Venom.
That'd be fun to actually watch.
Because I think it would just be a lot of anger and crazy, and I would like to see Wolverine go against Venom.
Yeah, you know what? I think that would be a good matchup. They're absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But
I'm going to go with Wolverine on that one.
At the end of the day, I got to go with Wolverine. But,
okay, let me play devil's
I'm
advocate.
talking about in the matchup, in the battle.
Yeah.
I think that it would be real. Venom would get his licks in.
Oh, yeah.
It would really be a problem.
I think it's interesting because Venom ultimately is not the guy under the mask. Could you imagine, and I'm throwing this one out there, could you imagine if Venom took over Wolverine? That's a movie in itself.
If Venom took over Wolverine, I'd go with him. I don't know who he's fighting, but Venom with claws. Venom with claws
That's
and anger and can't be killed.
Can't be killed.
I'd go with him.
Okay, Venom Marine versus anyone. We'd all be screwed.
Yeah.
On that
a lot
note,
of slobbering.
Let's wrap this up. If you do have any comments or questions or hate everything that we said, hit us up on Twitter. It's at Heckler Kane Inc. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.